I think 2026 is going to be my best reading year yet. So let's get into my 2026 TBR before January is over. It's going to be bangers only. What's up, guys? My name is Ryder, and welcome to Ryder Reads. I finished 2025 off really strong with the Red Rising trilogy. Morningstar, the third book, was the best book that I read all year. So naturally, I had to dive into the second half of the saga with Iron Gold. To be honest, I'm not enjoying it a ton, but it's still good, it's still enjoyable, just not as much as the last book. Morningstar was just such a high, and this is kind of bringing the tone down a little bit. But I know that Dark Age and Lightbringer are going to be phenomenal. So Iron Gold, I'm about 100 pages away from finishing this, so still on my TBR, even though I'm in the middle of it. And then Dark Age and Lightbringer, of course, are on my 2026 TBR. I've heard Lightbringer is the best book of the series. I don't even know how that's possible after Morningstar. So those expectations are high, but add these three books of the rest of the saga, and hopefully Red God is out this year. Add that on there too. The Will of the Many by James Islington. In the same breath as Red Rising, it's about a main character who is in a type of hierarchical system and learning the secrets, working his way up to the top. That's really all I know. This has been sitting on my shelf for well over a year, and it's just staring me down. I cannot wait to read this. I've heard it's kind of like Hunger Games, but dark academia mixed with a little bit of Red Rising hints. So all I know is it's right up my alley. I'm gonna love it. um, which means now I can add Strength of the Few to my TBR for 2026. So let's throw that on there as well. I think I'm going to love this series. I've heard nothing but good things about James Islington, so we'll see, man. It's going to be good. The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wong. You guys, I've heard insane reviews about this book. I'm trying to go into this as blind as I possibly can, so I actually don't even think I have any sort of a review for this book other than some people, including some of you guys, this is your favorite book of all time. So the expectations are high. If you haven't noticed, my TBR list right now is just like 500 plus page books, which I'm okay with. I love getting soaked into a story and kind of just sitting in it. And I think this book is going to be that for me. Of course, it's fantasy, which is my probably favorite genre right now. And so I just am pumped. So this better be as good as you say it is. In the same breath, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I also do not know much about this book going into it. All I know is it has amazing world building, great character development and storytelling, and it's fantasy. It's epic fantasy. I know it's an unfinished trilogy and there's no end in sight for the third book, but this book and the second one, I've heard nothing but good things. So I just can't wait to get it. I actually got this during Barnes and Noble's 25% off sale. So figured why not pick it up? I'll probably get to it towards the end of the year because I got to finish Red Rising, Will of the Many, Sword of Kaigan, and the rest of the books on this list. But Name of the Wind, this is going to be a good one. I got a good feeling. I'm going to stay on theme with books that I don't really know much about. All I know is that everyone says they're phenomenal, and so I don't want to miss out. I have FOMO with these books. So, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, one that I've heard insane things about. It's like a mystery slash thriller, mind bending, but it's a nice quick read. It's going to be a nice change of pace from all these massive books I have on my TBR. I haven't even talked about the biggest book on my list yet. So this is going to be a nice palate cleanser. I think this will be after the Red Rising series. I'll pick this baby up. Um, all I know is Blake Crouch is a great writer. This is a great story. It was turned into an Apple TV show, so it's got to be good enough, right? So we will see if this lives up to the hype. I just know I'm excited to read it. A friend of mine recommended to me as well. He said, dude, you got to read this book. So can't wait. All right, this next one, I actually watched the TV show on Peacock. It's The Day of the Jackal. This book is hopefully as good as the show. I loved the show. It's about this assassin who's contract for hire, and nobody knows he exists. He basically, you know, faked his death working for the military and now kills people for a lot of money. and he's the best at what he does. He makes these crazy shots. He's like a sniper specialist. Again, the show on Peacock, go watch that. It's actually insane. Really well done. I thought there's got to be a book about this. This is too good to not have a book out there. And sure enough, there is one. I cannot wait to read this. Another palate cleanser, not crazy big, but not too short. So be able to sit in that for a little bit and enjoy it. Getting back into the big boys, Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. I have never read a Western. I've never read a book like this. It's going to be my biggest read of the year, but it's probably the read that I'm most excited about this year. Other than the Red Rising series, this is probably number two on my list right now. I'm so pumped to read it. Not only because it's so different from what I usually read, but it is just getting high praise. It won the Pulitzer Prize, which is like top two awards in literature that you could possibly win as an author. And so that speaks for itself. The reviews speak for themselves. It's actually within a series, but you can, read it as a standalone. And I just can't wait. So hopefully this lives up to the hype. Lonesome Dove, I'm coming for you soon. This is my first nonfiction of the list. We're talking The Wager, and I really just have had this on my radar for a couple of years now. I know David Grann has written Killers of the Flower Moon, which has been adapted into a movie with, I think, Leonardo DiCaprio very recently. But I've heard that this guy is just such a good writer. This is a true story. It says on the front, shipwreck, mutiny, and murder. What else can you ask for in a great story? I've heard people compare it basically to an adult version of Lord of the Flies. Lord of the Fries. That is me as well. I love French fries. Anyway, it is an adult version of Lord of the Flies, except it actually happened. And so another buddy, actually same guy who read Dark Matter, also read this book and told me, dude, you got to read this book. So all I know is I'm excited for it. It's been on my TBR for a couple years now, basically since it came out. And so if you've read this book, then let me know what you think about it. But this is definitely going to be on the list. Probably a maybe Will of the Many series palette cleanser, after that. So we'll see, man. It's going to be a good one. Okay, I'm going to switch gears really quickly, and we're going to talk about a couple of nonfiction books that are way different than these other ones I've been talking about. These aren't going to be stories. These are going to be more professional development, self-help books, which I don't typically gravitate towards, but I do enjoy them every once in a while. I think they're good if you're looking for a bit of a different change of pace when you're reading. I also think they're popular for a reason. I think that if you apply the practices within them, at least most of them, that they'll improve your life. So this first one is Atomic Habits by James Clear. I've actually already read this. I read it in 2022. It's been a long time, so I'm getting back into it. I'm actually already reading it right now. We're reading it with a few guys from work, and so just going through it again. And it is as good as people say it is. There's a reason so many copies have been sold. It's quick, it's easy. James Clear is very brilliant in making things applicable, and he's good at understanding his readers. I think a lot of these books, these authors will write with all this knowledge that they have, but it doesn't fully connect to the reader because there's such a gap between what they know and what we're hoping to learn. But James Clear does a good job of making it easy to break down and apply to your life habits that will, slowly compound over time to make drastic impacts in your life. Again, I've already read it, so I know it's great, but it's going to be good to revisit, and can't wait to see um, if I pick up anything new that I didn't the first time. All right, this next one is one that James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, recommends that everyone has. This is one I've had on my shelf for about 5 years now. I've been putting it off because, like most of you, I don't gravitate towards self-help books, so I'm just buying fantasy and sci-fi and thriller books. But this one I think is important, The Psychology of Money. Um, don't know a ton about it other than the fact that it kind of breaks down the way that we view money and the way it operates within our life and our mindset. So just really practical lessons on wealth and building money and all that kind of stuff. I think this is going to be great. My wife and I are expecting a baby. She's starting a business, so it's going to be a crazy year for us. I think there's just going to be valuable information in this, that's going to be useful for us as we go into this crazy season of life. So can't wait to get into this one this year. I don't know why all these self-help books have white covers. Deep work, white cover. I don't understand. But I've heard this book by Cal Newport is phenomenal in applying just simple skills and practices to um, your day to day, you know, work life. Or maybe it's at home and you just want to be able to become more focused with all the distractions that you and I face every single day. I know I face that a lot at work, and so I just want to be able to be more intentional with my time when I'm at work. This is, the reason I got this book was for my full-time job, and so just looking to improve myself every day in that. Um, and then we'll see if it works. But I've had this on my shelf for a couple of years. It's been recommended to me by a couple of people, and we'll see. All right, I'm going to be switching gears quite a bit here for this next segment. So stick with me if you'd like. I understand if you don't want to, but this is an important aspect of my life and books that I really enjoy. So I am a Christian and I love to learn more about God and what it means to live life as a believer in Jesus. And so I think that's very important um, for me. And reading books is the best way to do that. I think if you're watching this and you're not a believer, you've probably felt frustration if you've talked to a Christian or somebody who believes in God that they don't really seem like they know what they're talking about. They've just been indoctrinated, and you feel like you can argue with them pretty easily. It's my goal to not be one of those Christians. I want to know what I'm talking about, back up what I believe in. I think if you believe in something, that you really should believe in it for real and be able to explain and defend why. And so these next couple of books are books that I cannot wait to read this year that are all Christian faith based books. The Practice of the Presence of God by Brother Lawrence. This is a really tiny book, not just physically, but I mean, very short. This is one that my wife has read and she really enjoyed it. It is basically just about how um, experiencing and spending time with God is not just going to be, in the early mornings when you're sitting in prayer or reading a Bible, but it can be done in the everyday aspects of life that you can experience the presence of God, whether you're in the kitchen or doing laundry or on your knees in prayer. It shouldn't matter that whatever we're doing, that God's deep presence is available at all times, that He is omnipresent in our lives regardless. And so this is going to be a nice quick read. Probably we'll get into this pretty soon here in the year. Very similar breath. This is a book that has been recommended a billion times to me and to others throughout the kind of Christian world. This is Praying Like Monks, Living Like Fools by Tyler Staton. I listen to Tyler Staton almost every day in podcasts. He does a lot of things with, if you've heard of John Mark Comer and things like that. This is just going to be a almost manual and guide to the life of prayer and what it's meant to be and how it can be applied to our lives, and how we can approach God in prayer. And so this one I cannot wait to read. What I love about most of these books that I'm going to be talking about is that they're fairly small. They are very intellectual compared to like the Red Rising series, but these are going to be just nice quick reads that I can crank out and hopefully will, you know, create really great change in my faith walk. All right, this next book I have seen everywhere. It's by another pastor that I listen to all the time, that I respect very much. It's Jonathan Pokluda. This book is Why Do I Do What I Don't Want to Do? This is actually, the title is taking a quote from the Apostle Paul in one of his letters where he talks about struggling with sin and falling short of God's, glory, that he does things that he doesn't want to do. And he goes on to say, the things I do want to do, I don't do. And I think this is whether you're a Christian or not, this is something that we all see. If you're a Christian, I know that you struggle with this. You know the life that you're supposed to live, that God has called you to a higher standard, but it's so difficult, and sometimes you find yourself doing the opposite. If you're not a Christian, you see Christians and feel like they're hypocrites because they're supposed to be holier than thou. And while that's true, we are called to live a holy life. We fall short and we're not perfect. And we do struggle between the flesh, which is our sinful nature, and the spirit. And so this book is going to do a good job talking about the daily vices. I think it goes through the kind of seven deadly sins, and how we navigate that struggle. The return of the prodigal son. This is one that has always interested me. It's about a fairly standard story that I wouldn't say standard, it's an amazing story, but it's well known in the Bible, where there's this wealthy man and he has a son that gets his inheritance early. He asks for his inheritance and he goes and squanders it away and basically ruins his life because he takes advantage of this gift he's been given from his father, and he comes home expecting to be outcasted and not loved, yet his father runs to him and accepts him back in and says, my son, uh, puts a robe on him, prepares a giant meal for him, and treats him as he would before he left. And this is going to be a book um, talking about this rich story where we see the love of God that sometimes we are going to take advantage of and walk away from all the blessings He's placed in our lives, yet He calls us home to Him, and that He's waiting for us with open arms. All right, this next one, I already mentioned his name, John Mark Comer. This is Garden City. I don't really know much about this book. This was gifted to me with the knowledge that I love John Mark Comer. I think he's so wise. He takes such an intellectual stance in faith and the topics of Christianity. He has such an interesting insight into things that seem very basic on the surface, yet he takes such a deep, scholarly almost aspect of it. This idea of Garden City, he'll be talking about work and rest, and again, I don't know a ton about it, but what does it mean to be human at the same time as be in relationship with God? I can't wait for this one. I like that it's like uniquely shaped. It's almost like a square. He's very, creative with how he designs his books. All right, books and how they are designed matter. You know this. You may have heard him. He's a giant of the modern day faith. His name's Max Lucado. He has this book just called Jesus. The subtitle, The God Who Knows Your Name. That's what's so unique about our faith as Christians. If you're watching this and you aren't a Christian, what sets us apart from other religions and beliefs is that our God sympathizes with us, that Jesus came down and lived the life that humans live. So he knows everything that we struggle. He experiences everything that we experience. And so he's going to take us on a journey through this book on the person of Jesus and to get to know him a little bit more as a person. Um, and so I can't wait to read this one. I think it'll grow my affections for him, and it's going to be a good one. This next one is a pastor that I love to listen to as well. Most of these books, I have listened to them on podcasts or listened to messages that they have preached, which is why I'm reading their books. I feel like their opinions are very valuable. This one is John Tyson, Beautiful Resistance. First of all, I love that cover, that crack design with the kind of contrast of the black, yellow, and the white. This book is subtitled "The Joy of Conviction in a Culture of Compromise." So many things in this world are changing, and the progressive thought is moving forward. That agenda is going forward ever so quickly. There are new ideologies that are so secular being introduced into our world, and there's this idea that our faith is not meant to accept those, but to resist those, not to compromise, but to be convicted about standing firm in our faith, and that it's our job as Christians and in the church, it's our job to hold fast to what we believe in. And so this book is going to discuss the kind of balance of that and what does it look like to, be in a world where everything combats what you believe in. Are you going to be firm in what you believe in, or are you going to compromise? Delighting in the Trinity by Michael Reeves. This is kind of a good book for people who are newer to the faith. There's a huge mystery of the Trinity that we believe as Christians in a God who is triune, meaning he's Father, Son, Holy Spirit, one God in three persons. And so this is, again, an introduction to the Christian faith where we learn more about that. He explains to the best of his ability what the Trinity is, what does it mean for God to be triune, how can we live a Christian life through the Trinity, what does this all mean for us? And so I've heard nothing but good things about this book. It's been recommended countless times in podcasts I've listened to. If you can't tell, I like podcasts. And so this is going to be a good one. It's nice and short, but I'm sure it'll be very profound and deep. So I bet it'll take a bit to get through it. Knowing God by J.I. Packer. This is one that's been on my radar for a really long time, and it's basically about distinguishing between knowing God and knowing about God. That they're not the same, but they do intermingle with one another. I think there's so many people, especially in the faith community, that know a lot about God but don't have a personal relationship with Him. And there's a big difference that God is personal, that He is relational, that He desires to be known, not just being known about. And I think it's the same for us as people that, man, you can know a lot about somebody, but not know them at all. And so this book is going to be such a great refresher on that. I think it's a book that is recommended to new believers as well. So if that's you, I think this would be a great place for you to jump into. I can't wait to read it this year. Last but not least, Gentle and Lowly by Dane Ortland. This is, my sister said it's her favorite book. She said it's incredible. Subtitle is The Heart for Christ for Sinners and Sufferers. Look at that cover. That's so good. It looks so beautiful. It basically is a book that displays the tenderness and the compassion of Christ's heart, that he has a heart for the sinners, the sufferers, that it doesn't matter who you are, that there is a love that he has for you, and he desires for you to take hold of that and to walk beside him, that you will understand the grace that he has for you despite the sinning and the suffering that you might be caught up in. It's going to be a nice quick read, which after all those fantasy and sci-fi books is going to be such a nice change of pace. Um, can't wait to read this one. Let me know if you've read this too. Okay, so that is 21 physical TBRs, and then we're going to include 2 to 3 if Red God I get to that this year, plus the second Strength of the Few, plus the second Name of the Wind. We'll get to 25 plus books this year. That's my dream. I hope we get there. Last year I read 21 books. My goal is 25 this year. I cannot wait. I think it's going to be my best reading year yet. Let me know if you're excited to read these books too, or if you've read them before. I can't wait to hear what you guys think about it. No spoilers, please. As you can tell, I like to go into books blindly. I want to experience everything for the first time, even what the plot is. So let me know in the comments if you're going to want to pick up any of these books, if you have read them, but we will see you next time.